But we're leaving Amblin. This has been your home since '84, right?
Yeah, this has been, I built the building began it in '83, and we finished it like 8 months later in '84.
I think because with the BFG opening, the idea was, where are your old stomping grounds? Get it?
Well, I have not left Giant Country since I entered Giant Country, which was here at Universal Studios. This has been my Giant Country. I've always said that Universal's been my ancestral home all these years.
Are the stories true that you used to sneak onto the lot here when you were a young guy? How old?
Probably about 16.
So you couldn't be tried as an adult at that point?
No, I would have definitely been taken to juvenile court and gotten a suspended sentence for giving it a good try. But I wasn't caught, thank goodness. I had a pass for 3 days, and I just took a chance. And the guard would remember I had been here on 3 consecutive days.
So you were regular?
I walked in with no pass the 4th day, and he waved me through, and it was that way for the next 3 months of my summer vacation.
Really?
This is how I spent my summer vacation.
Just coming in, and what would you do?
I would just watch television shows being shot. I would go all around the lot. Watching the kind of coordination on a set, just watching, everybody knew what they needed to do, and they did their jobs, and it was very much like a kind of team sport.
Did you see any filmmakers that you admired?
Hitchcock, but I got thrown off that set very quickly. I was on the Torn Curtain set for about 10 minutes before someone came and told me to leave.
Did you get to see him?
I got to see Hitchcock and Julie Andrews, but I was on the Phantom of the Opera stage. They were far away, and I had just come through an entrance. I was at the back of the theater. There were 500 extras in the seats. That's when an AD or a second, maybe even a third AD, got kicked off by a third AD.
So they said, show me your papers? Or
just said, why are you here? And I said, I'm just here to watch. And they said, well, no, this is a closed set, and that was the end of it.
This is Courthouse Square.
This is where we shot Back to the Future, and that was the clock tower. There's the time already set on the clock tower.
But this existed before Back to the Future, right? It was...
Yeah, this was always here. We just used what was available to us. But that gas station we put in for Back to the Future, too.
Was it used for a lot, like just random TV shows and movie sets? Anything?
This has been used for everything. This has been used for television series, movies.
Before Back to the Future, did it have a most famous use?
It was used, I think, To Kill a Mockingbird shot a little bit here. There were a lot of television shows that shot here, but this is most known for Back to the Future now. At least that's what the trams say. The tour guides tell everybody this is most known for Back to the Future. We like that. You gotta watch out. There's so many tours here now.
Yeah.
It used to be just I could just slip up and down these streets, but I know how to get there because I go up Steven Spielberg Drive.
That's good. Right, yeah, you know that one.
I know how to get up there. I love being bifurcated with Jimmy Stewart. That's a great honor, actually. Having
the corner of Stewart and Spielberg.
I love that. That's one of the greatest honors of my life, is being able to share a street sign with Jimmy Stewart. So this just goes up, and these were all. Remember how many westerns they made in the 50s and 60s? So these were probably the most utilized backlot in history was back here, and there were just western streets as far as the eye could see. Even more in the old days that were taken down for other sets. So it goes from western to kind of Spanish.
Sort of Mexican-style architecture. If you're
this is the
south of the border
exactly,
kind of thing.
And then this is Jaws. I'll tell you, the orca used to be right there. I tell you that story?
No.
In one of our many interviews?
No.
The orca was here. The orca right here. The original orca was here. And I used to come out for about a couple of years after I made the movie to get over my PTSD. I would work through my own trauma, because it was traumatic.
From making that film?
Sitting in that boat alone for hours. I would just sit in that boat alone for hours, just working through, and I would shake. I'd get in the boat and my hands would shake. And then I was fine, and 5-6 years went by. I hadn't seen the boat in 5 years. Decided to just come back and revisit it. It was gone. Somebody, unbeknownst to me or Sid Sheinberg, who ran the studio, had torn it up and just thrown it away, thrown the entire boat away. Because they said there was dry rot, there were termites. Well, of course there were termites and dry rot. I'm going to actually ask them to rebuild it and put it back here. I'm going to actually see if they'll do that. Because the tourists would love to see the orca.
So it was just a chance to kind of commune with that experience. And
and the experience was very good to me, as you know. The experience gave me complete freedom for the rest of my career. The amount of success the film enjoyed just gave me final cut. It gave me a chance to tell my own stories.
Steven Spielberg Drive is a long road.
It's a long road. It's a long and winding road. Suddenly I feel like I'm doing a James Corden interview.
Exactly, yeah. We'll start karaoke soon.
There we go. So you know what this is?
This is How the Grinch Stole
This is Ronnie Howard's movie, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which is very, very, it's nice they kept this up.
Yeah.
And then right around the corner is the infamous Bates Motel.
There it is.
And it hasn't changed very much, same color. They haven't even repainted this place. I think they've replaced some light bulbs, but this was just an amazing piece of art direction. To have this here and have the, Norman Bates' mother's house right up there, it's pretty extraordinary. And it all seems so small now, When you see the movie, it all looks bigger. Yeah, just the funny thing about movies, they make everything look bigger.
Well, that's a little bit of foreshortening, right? Or
actors look bigger, they make directors seem bigger, but we're not. We're really not. So and it was interesting when I shot War of the Worlds here. This is where Rick Carter located the 747 crash. Mm-hmm. And we bought it for, I think, $50,000 and cut it up into little pieces, brought it up here and built this neighborhood for the crash site.
So the houses weren't here yet?
We added these houses. This was part of the Rick Carter's production design, to have this entire plane crash right in the middle of the neighborhood.
Wow.
And then shear the house that they were hiding in half, as you remember from the film. So all of these, it's just kind of scary to come up here. It's just, when you see the movie, you'll notice there's not a single body in the scene. Yeah. There's no bodies in the airplane, and nobody's on the ground. That was an illusion that seeing the empty seats I thought was more powerful than having a bunch of dummies or extras.
Right.
Not to be confused, by the way, but we mannequins strapped into the seats. It was a lot more horrible, I thought, just to have the whole thing empty. And then this is where Lost World was. This is the Lost World set.
Oh, no way.
This was the second visitor center up here, right around the corner. So that invokes some memories, actually.
Yeah? Like what kind?
That's how bloody hard all these movies are to shoot.
Brings back like stress.
I've never had a cakewalk. I have never made a movie that could be, subtitled The Cakewalk. Some of my films might seem like cakewalks, but they're not at all. I like coming on to each movie, with my experience not being what is going to keep me out of trouble.
Yeah. That's how you mix it up, how you can stay fresh, right? Yeah. I think you told me before, Spielberg's nerves are a good thing when you're filming, right?
Nerves are good. They're good.
The announcement Indiana Jones 5 is coming out.
Well,
You've heard about that, right?
Yeah, somebody told me I'm scheduled to make one of those again someday, but that's not for a couple of years.
And Ready Player One in between that? And
Ready Player One is what I'm going off next month to do.
When you were prowling around the studio as a 16-year-old, were there things you learned that became valuable, or was it more just inspiration?
I basically took a master course in film editing because it was a lot harder to stay on a set for an extended period of time without me being questioned, what am I doing here? Right. But the editors embraced me, and all of them did. I probably learned more in editorial sneaking around here than I did on any soundstage.
How did you introduce yourself to them? Like, you just come in?
I told the truth. I told the truth. I told all the editors I was unofficially here to learn how to be a director. And nobody blew a whistle on me, and they liked having me around, and they played a couple of jokes on me. Like the day they asked me to go down to an editing room and take a film bin, a 16mm film bin out of that editing room and bring it to the main lobby. And I did it because it was suddenly somebody's asking me to do something. Great thing, I got a job. Great, so I ran into the room and there was some guy half naked, behind the moviola. He had no, I don't know if he was dressed from below the waist, he just was totally stark naked from the waist up, and he was cutting on this thing. I said, excuse me, and I took the bin out of the room, and this guy stands up, starts shouting at me, using a lot of inappropriate language, and I immediately recognized him. It was Marlon Brando. I ran out of the room without the bin, and the editors were suppressing their laughter because they didn't want to be heard by Brando, but they were on the floor. They were rolling on desks. They were laughing so hard.
What was going on?
Brando apparently was cutting a documentary on Tahiti,
and
they had lent him a room, and they played this, they kind of I guess, punked me.
So he was
Early
in there.
punking
So
days.
he was in there going tribal, and they just sent this kid in
tribal.
to disturb him.
When he stood up, I think he was wearing bathing trunks, but that was the only time I ever saw Brando in the flesh.
You get to see a lot of him.
Okay.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.
This is really fun.